Hello again guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we are back for another Mach Loop Time Trial, this time as you can see in the Blackburn Buccaneer. The Buccaneer, another British classic, another favourite aircraft of mine. The variant that you can see here in front of you is the S2B, and the developer of this aircraft is UKMIL. The aircraft is now available as freeware, and as you'll see it is starting to show its age a little bit, but it should serve us well for today. The Blackburn Buccaneer was actually designed as a low-level strike aircraft, so it should be in its element going around the Mach Loop. As you can see, it's a bit of a hefty beast, but I think rather elegant nonetheless. I'm actually really looking forward to this run, as it's an opportunity to take a childhood favourite aircraft around the Mach Loop. So with that in mind, we'll get this piece of Yorkshire steel up in the air. I'll tell you a little bit more about the aircraft, and then we'll do just that. As you can see, the weather is very pleasant here today on the western coastline of Wales, so we shouldn't have any issues there. As always guys, I do hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. If you have any comments or questions for me, you can leave those down in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoy the flight. So in front of us, as mentioned during the introduction, we have the Blackburn Buccaneer S2B. Officially the aircraft is actually the Hawker Siddeley Buccaneer, but very rarely goes by that name. The aircraft was developed as a British carrier-capable attack aircraft designed in the 1950s for the Royal Navy. The Buccaneer was originally designed in response to the Soviet Union's Sverdlov-class cruiser construction program, instead of the Royal Navy deciding to build a new fleet to counter the Sverdlov class. It was decided that the Buccaneer could be used to attack these ships approaching at low level below their radar horizon. Initially the Buccaneer was designed to attack using either a nuclear bomb or conventional weapons, but later on in its life it was able to deploy short-range anti-shipping missiles to help improve its survivability against modern ship-based anti-aircraft weapons. The Buccaneer entered Royal Naval service in 1962 and was also offered as an entrant into the Royal Air Force's contest for a new attack aircraft. Initially the Buccaneer was actually rejected in favour of the BAC TSR-2 as well as the General Dynamics F111K. But after the cancellation of both of these programs, the Buccaneer was finally purchased by the Royal Air Force, entering service in 1969. Sadly, the Royal Navy retired the last of its large aircraft carriers in 1978 and passed on its Buccaneers to the Royal Air Force. The Buccaneer was retired on the 31st of March 1994, but in the intervening period it saw action in the First Gulf War, as well as the South African Border War with the South African Air Force. The S2 was powered by two Rolls-Royce Spey Mark 101 turbofan engines, producing about 11,000 pounds of thrust each. This gives the aircraft at sea level a maximum speed of 580 knots and a maximum Mach number of 0.95. The aircraft had a range of about 2,000 nautical miles and a service ceiling of 40,000 feet. Again, the aircraft is designed as a low-level attack aircraft, and there are some legendary stories of it performing in this role, particularly at the US Red Flag exercises. So once again, it should be a really nice aircraft to take around the loop. It should be right in its element. So with all that being said, let's now head into the cockpit of the aircraft and put it around the loop. So welcome to the cockpit of the Blackburn Buccaneer. We're just tracking our way in towards Mach Loop at the moment. Just letting the speed slowly build up as we track inbound. Max speed of the Buccaneer at sea level is 580 knots, so we want to make sure of course that we don't go above that during our run. And we do seem to have an abundance of power in the aircraft, so we will have to adjust the power throughout to make sure that we don't go through our speed limits. Anyway, just coming up on 550 knots at the moment. The town just passing off at our 1 o'clock. And over the road, start the stopwatch. Just coming up slightly more on the throttles here, just to nudge us all up towards our 580 knots. And tracking down the valley out towards the northwest, following the river initially as per usual. There's 580, so just coming back slightly on the throttles. Got the B404 bridge just down at our 11 o'clock. Overall, I have to say the Buccaneer from UKMIL, actually a nice aircraft. No idea how accurate it is to the real world aircraft, but it's very pleasant to fly. Anyway, just tracking the valley out towards the north now. Trying to make a nice gentle sweeping turn, not pulling too many G in the process, costing us airspeed of course. And now following the A470, which we have down on our left. Just nudging over 580 knots there, so coming back on the throttles, pointing the aircraft towards the hill initially, preparing for our turn over Dinas Mouthwee. And again, try not to pull too many G's as we come through the turn, coming up on the throttles, that speed bleeding off there as we come up on the G. And all the way back off the throttles now as we build up speed coming back towards the ground. Overbanking the aircraft to get us back down towards ground level. And speed coming back through 550 knots there, we don't really want to lose any more speed than that. Pulling about 3G there in the turn. Reversing the turn now to come back through bush exits. And again back over to the left. Overbanking to bring us back down towards the road and ground level. Just coming up on cross foxes in, you can see that straight off the nose. And pulling a few G there as we come over the inn itself. Bringing the speed back as a result. That's fine, that keeps us down at our 580 knots. And again reversing the turn back to the right, bringing us out towards Llyn-Mingil. Just continuing to follow the 8487 at the moment, which you just picked up from the cross foxes in. Speed's still good there at the moment, we'll come up on the power though in anticipation of the G through Corus Corner. All the way up to around 5 Gs there, losing a little bit of airspeed in the process. We'll gain that back there as we come back down towards the ground. And in fact, busting our speed limit there just ever so slightly, so back off the throttles. And back towards the right, there's Corus just passing below us. Keeping a good on our airspeed, 570 knots at the moment. And now just loosely following the exit of the valley, we'll gain that extra 10 knots back in the dive. And one last turn out to the right, tracking bound towards the road. And over the road, stop the stopwatch. Overall I think a pretty decent time there. We did lose a few knots on certain occasions as we pulled some G, and we did slightly bust our speed there, but only momentarily, so I think that's pretty representative of what the Buccaneer could achieve overall. So there you go guys, the Buccaneer managed a time of 2 minutes 51.08 seconds, putting it very much where you might expect on the leaderboard given the other aircraft that we've run to date. The aircraft managed to complete a lap around the Mach Loop a full minute quicker than the Gloucester Meteor. Somewhat surprisingly though, it was only about 10 seconds behind the F104 Starfighter. So despite having nowhere near the high speed capabilities of the F104, the Buccaneer more than making up for it with its manoeuvrability. Of course as well we did suffer some pretty poor weather during the F104 run. Overall, once again, it was a real pleasure taking the Buccaneer around the Mach Loop. I think the flight model was fairly simplistic, but it was pleasant enough to fly. And for me, I just really enjoyed the visuals of this run. Again, the Buccaneer is a personal favourite, so it was really nice to see it blasting around the valleys of Wales. Anyway guys, as always I do hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. If you have any comments or questions for me, you can leave those down in the comment section below, and I'll always do my best to answer them. This is now the 10th aircraft that we've run around the Mach Loop, and make sure you keep tuned for episode number 11, as I think that will be quite a special one. And as ever, if you do have any suggestions of aircraft that you would like to see run around the Mach Loop, you can leave those down in the comment section below. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all again soon.